Gonna try to make this one really quick. That guy is gonna miss an Arsenal match, and if you follow the headspace, you know that my main man is an Arsenal fan. So let's wrap this up, but let's keep it interesting. Okay, I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna do it. You'll know why. I review artists I listen to in my spare time, artists I don't listen to in my spare time, artists that are close to who I am as a person in terms of how they deliver their art, artists that are far from that. It's all art to me. I appreciate it whether I really personally like it or not. I am honored to have the opportunity to sit in this really hot seat and attempt to understand these artists, their path, and to formulate an analysis on whether or not the music that they're making is hitting home according to the vision, the mass market trends it operates within, and just to do a critical theory on how we listen to, assess music, and how the artists make it, and whether or not they understand that balance. So that's what these reviews really are. They're not my opinion. Not really. They are an attempt to kind of position the fact that art can be critiqued according to the standard of what it operates into. Blah, 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 blah. I really like it when I review artists I really like. And this is an artist I really like. I'm not going to be able to hide it because he epitomizes everything that I think most, in fact, all South African rappers should be doing. He epitomizes fun, whilst at the very same time being embroiled in a level of creativity which always has some finesse to it. He epitomizes the A word that we're always talking about, authenticity, which is understand how to locate your individual story in this mass global mess of capitalistic pressure that we're living under. Understand how to distill a part of yourself in ways that kind of navigate us through the glory and the guts, and do it in a way that understands how you are different from everybody, whilst leaning on the fact that that difference is exactly what allows us to be integral. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Willing Listeners Forum is that dude for me. If you don't know who he is, please check him out. What I will say is he's an elusive rapper who has amassed a cult following that I think is very, very singular in terms of the South African market. And he's done that through understanding how to take what he does, create a world that sucks you in to this character of Willing Listeners Forum, who hardly shows his face and really puts himself out there in a way that's cartoonishly exaggerated, but done in a way that's so elegant and true to South African flair that you just pulled in. For me, describing Willing Listeners Forum is, imagine Prime Malum Cool Cat infused with the consciousness of a Prime Tumi Molekane, done in a beautiful tapestry of modern South African township flair. This dude is bananas, and his body of work is prolific. He keeps pushing out work after work after work, working with, the crew of 4am, Cypher, so many other different rappers I could mention, so many of these interesting dudes doing interesting things. But his latest project, with the Asiposi, is called the Boyzin EP. Now, the one thing about Willing Listeners Forum, aka Umabonga, is that his songs are really questions into the structure of what songwriting is as a form. He doesn't deliver the expected formulaic, 2 to 3 minute, structure that we're used to. He really puts out ideas that feel ephemeral. It's like he takes what he does, moves with the moment, keeps his verses short but succinct, but it's always bite-sized chunk of dynamic poetry delivered with an ease that just is godlike. And this project is not different. He opens it up with a glitzy, shiny, sparkly approach. These beats as they were selected in this particular project, seem to be kind of Umabonga in an aspirational tone. I mean, he's always speaking bravado in the air about, you know, what he does and how he does it. But Play Project, there's a sense of reinventing the wheel in terms of how do we view success. I feel like this is the undercurrent that for me flows through this project. I mean, in songs like Don't Test the Waters, Mawagwazi, there's a grimy jazz layer where Mabonga just kind of emerges as the dominator of his own world, using a contrasting backdrop of ease. And this is the thing about Willing Listeners Forum as a concept, as an artist, as an idea, is that he loves juxtaposing sonic worlds and approaching his flow according to a way that just has a synergy of all of the qualities that we have nostalgically loved from rap. And when I say we, I mean generationally. He's an artist that listens to the era of 90s rap with its boom bap heavy influence, while still moving in a direction that's more soulful and kind of does the quote-unquote jazz rap direction. But it all comes together in a spectrum of thoughts and ideas that are just always clear-cut, short, straight to the point, and they feel like little theme songs to moments in your life that you just want to relive over and over again. So to go through it, there's Shwele, which is like, it feels like a blaxploitation era film where he might as well be rocking an afro and lifting his fists up, but Mzansi, because just again, the soul there and how he approaches it through this super characteristic way of isiZulu sakhe and sliding into his English, where the linguistic shift is not even like really affecting his cadence. He's able to merge language and structure in a way that you can tell the skill is methodic, yet it emphasizes cadence. He's a flow rapper. He's not going to say a lot of things that's considered highbrow, but he finds ways of tapping into modern South African street slang while still inventing his own, by the way, and just oozing so much cool. Definitely one of the coolest rappers that I have heard in this country, maybe, period. So as a result, by the time it gets to the last joint, which is pretty much a flip on the whole era of 90s arcade gaming, you really get the sense that what Willing Listeners Forum wants to do as an artist is to give enough of himself to still preserve the energy to allow for this creativity to run rampant. Because a lot of the times, in fact, quite recently, there's tended to be emphasis on overproduction. Has anybody else noticed how long tracks are becoming? We are in an era where artists think inundating the audience with constant singles and a kind of extended factor about you is how to keep the attention flowing. His strategy is a little bit different. He is also incessantly pushing snackable content, but it's experimental art pieces. It's moments in his creative life that are short enough for a listener to be drawn in just sheerly on the factor of the novelty and the originality behind it, but to also be satisfied almost as a meal. You eat it now, it does its job, but you'll be hungry again. And I think this approach to the music is what allows for him to keep evolving as an artist. What I'm interested in is whether or not he will ever decide to kind of surface and try to aim for something a little bit more mass market. Because as it stands, he's definitely what you would consider a quote-unquote alternative artist, in that this creative choice of bite-sized songs and verses that don't really have any structure or much of a chorus or bridge, just basically fleeting ideas of interesting slang used in ways that are just starkly interesting. do not make for music that is easily playable on, you know, the formats that mass market relies on. I mean, this is an artist who you find exclusively on Bandcamp, with some of his work scattered around SoundCloud if you look deep enough. So as a result, reviewing this project is subjecting it to market analysis. And I have a feeling Willing Listeners Forum doesn't really give a shit about that. This Kafir raps. That's his handle on Instagram, and I think that's what he wants to leave us with. Here is a story of a black man in South Africa who just loved rapping for rap's sake, and the perks around what it means to be a rapper, like the subliminal need to want to grow and evolve and maybe make some money, are there, but they definitely do not make up why he raps. He raps because he can, he raps because he knows he does it really well, and he raps because he just wants to separate himself from the pressure of market analysis while still trying to, you know, kinda a little bit of cash here and there. And I think the world of Bandcamp and platforms like that are an interesting opportunity for artists to navigate originality while still not having to compromise themselves so far that they lose themselves. So, let's go into the rating. As I said, to establishing my critique of this project, the artist probably even doesn't care for what I do, but I'll do it anyway. The ultimate assessment of this project for me is based on the understanding of where this artist has gone, and how far they've come with their style, and what could the motivating factors for this creative turn be. What I see, what I feel, is an artist who's trying out everything whilst he still feels he's in his element. And by element I mean in a place age-wise, culturally, and just part of a zeitgeist that allows him to be Willing Listeners Forum. So for me, a fan, definitely not some of his best work. He's got projects which really kind of have more of a dynamism about them. They speak broader, they feel more textured in the sense that the world that he develops is larger, but the raps are always fly. And I think this is a project that's done particularly just like chilling with the niggas and talking about what boys will talk about. Hence the Boyzin EP. So ultimately for me, this is definitely a 6.5 to 7 out of 10 Mabonga project. I mean, if you ask me, the raps is always 10 out of 10, but I have to kind of look at the artistic anchor of the sonic world in itself. That might sound like gibberish, but what I'm saying is what holds the thematics of this project together, what pushes the narrative of what the artist may be trying to say. And the truth is, he's not really trying to say anything in particular. He's rapping because he can, because he wants to, and these beats are dope enough, and he is incredibly dope as a rapper, lyrically and technically. So, he's in that place. My name is VJ, the brother from the ancient mother, and it's very, very, you know, I walked into this room and I wasn't feeling good, guys. But y'all make me feel so super happy. The engagement, the dialogue, please keep it coming. Communicate with us as the Headspace. We want to know how you feel. I know I don't really have a lot of time and resources right now, honestly, to always get back at you like that. That case has got that on lock, but we do love and appreciate the support that we keep getting. If there's anything, I've never asked anybody to do this, but we're part of a world in which algorithms matter. So if you really love the Headspace, here's a challenge. Link a friend you think would appreciate the content. Look at your content, your context list, and WhatsApp anybody if you want to. I mean, I'm just here actually trying to have a conversation, because what we're trying to get at is something where we revolutionize the scope of what South African YouTube can be, and it's going to be through your help. I mean, I'm not doing a thing now where I'm mobilizing you to work for us. I'm just saying that, you know what would really be cool? We rave a lot about the things we like, and I trust that you rave a lot about us. If you haven't, I'm reminding you to. That's if you want. I mean, you could easily keep this as your best kept secret on YouTube. But ultimately, as a critical theorist, a writer, a quote-unquote content creator with the Headspace team, we really want to get to a place that's extra special so that we can fuck shit up. And the conversation we have with you is going to have to get to a place where it furthers beyond our little small circle. And I think sometimes conspiracies need to be deliberate. And I'm trying to see if we can deliberately push the conspiracy of the Headspace to the rest of the country, because we are a country as South Africa, a continent as Africa, that is rich in culture and art. And I think there is not enough people who are talking about what's going on right now in the continent in ways that show our true power. And this is what we try to do. So that's a thank you from me, and it's also an appreciation.